Ooh, it's the end of 2023, getting into 2024, and lo and behold, Fox News wants to talk about a poll that shows that Joe Biden's approval rating is 39%. Go figure. Like, who's surprised? Did you expect anything different? Yeah. Well, there's one thing about the Democratic Party that it has going for it. We can count on it like clockwork for the entire party to panic anytime that we're entering into a new election season. I mean, if 2023 has taught us anything, it should be that Democrats can win elections. I mean, it's pretty evident at this point. But Fox News and the Five, they want to talk about all of these abysmal poll numbers that come out every once in a while, some from A-rated pollsters, others from not so highly recommended and rated pollsters. But let's go through the panic of what that looks like.
And he's out of office. Well, not yet. President Biden using the kid stairs and stepping foot down in warm St. Croix for the long holiday weekend. Joe is hoping for a little rest and relaxation nearly 2,000 miles away from all of the problems he's facing in Washington, which now includes an impeachment inquiry, his son's Hunter's 2 indictments, and the doom spiral at the border. The big guy is already on island time, skipping a year's end news conference. It's not surprising why he's avoiding the press. I mean, who would want to answer a question on why you have the worst year-end rating of any modern president seeking re-election? Biden probably also wants to get away from Democrats bickering over whether he has a shot at a second term. Some are more candid about their concerns.
But let's just freak out. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's also dive into folks that are Democrats that actually are questioning the party strategy going forward.
I think Trump could win. He could win in Pennsylvania. I think the thing that Biden has to do is he's got to enlarge the youth vote and minority vote. He's got to say to people, here's why you vote, and here's why it's important you vote. But I have to get that sense of hope back. And I think the word hope is very important, just like it was with Barack Obama.
It sounds to me like you think if the election were held today, Biden would lose.
Well, me and everybody else.
But Senator John Fetterman is firing back at Carville for saying that Joe could lose, saying, quote, "I'll use this as another opportunity to tell James Carville to shut the bleep up. My man hasn't been relevant since grunge was a thing."
Yes, at this point we should all be scared shitless that the Democrats are going to lose, right? Lo and behold, the one sane, the one smart, the one level-headed co-host of The Five, Jessica Tarlov, decides to give the whole panel a little bit of a reality check. Yeah, it's okay for us to have differing opinions. At times, you may disapprove of a thing that Joe Biden does. At times, you may love a thing that he does. At the end of the day, no one is going to match up perfectly to how you want things done in Washington. The whole goal here is to just find someone who represents the bulk of your beliefs and the bulk of what you want to see happen in the country. And that's exactly what happens here.
And I think what James Carville is trying to do is what David Axelrod is trying to do. It's what Jessica Tarlov tries to do. They try to tell people the truth to get voters to pay attention, because although the Bidenites are wonderful propagandists and they're telling all of us how rosy the economy is and how stable the global picture is, actually the president is in real trouble. And unless you telegraph that to people, they're going to be very comfortable with some of the economic numbers that are coming out right now, even though a lot of them are feeling the pain. So they're trying to be truth tellers. I don't know what John Fetterman is doing other than trying to pick a fight with every faction of the Democrat Party. That boy ain't right.
Jessica, where are you on the Fetterman-Carville, saga, the difference there?
I'm actually Team Carville and I'm Team Fetterman. I think that this is healthy. I think that Carville still has a place in the party. We are the big tent. He's responsible for one of the more successful modern presidencies, ones that made Democrats and Republicans happy. When you say it's the economy stupid, you're saying that because James Carville was the one who figured it out and said we should be running on this, in fact. And I'm also with John Fetterman insofar as, and I appreciate how you opened this and saying that we're trying to be truth tellers about this, that at this point, Joe Biden is running. There is no primary. There's no getting him off the ballot. And so it doesn't actually help Democrats to be having this conversation about, Dean Phillips isn't really going to get it done, but is Gavin Newsom going to get in? Is Gretchen Whitmer going to get in? This is who the candidate is. And there is, like we talked about yesterday on the show, a lot of positive things about the Biden agenda that you could be discussing. And Fetterman has been doing a good job of that. Carville is in a little bit of a grinchy mood, will come around. But it's hard when you have, he's a party elder. What are you going to do? Right? Well, he goes on TV. He gives these.
James Carville.
No, Biden is a party elder. Trump is a party elder, and Carville is a party elder.
The numbers are the numbers, and comparatively, historically, Biden's approval, according to Gallup from December, sits at 39%. Trump's was at 45%. Obama's 43%. Yeah. So he's having some problems here, Joey. And instead of coming out and having a year-end press conference to talk to the American people about what he thinks are achievements, he bailed on that. And when the White House was asked about it, they said, well, he had a press conference with the president of Ukraine, and therefore that is enough.
Yeah, it's funny. We had this reporting a couple of weeks ago that Biden was upset at kind of what the public perception was, and he told his team to circle the wagons and come up with a strategy. And then we realized the strategy is to get him further away from everything. I mean, right now, Anthony Blinken might be the most powerful person in D.C. Doesn't that make you worried? I mean, he's the one that's leading the charge on what's happening with the wars overseas. He's leading or at least the diplomacy. He's leading the charge on the southern border. We're not in a good place when it comes to perception of leadership. I'll give Fetterman and Carville all the credit in the world as far as being party guys and having a disagreement there. And, there's a difference between what you've caused and what you're responsible for. That's the lesson number one in leadership. I don't really care if Joe Biden's caused all the problems. I care that as Americans, we don't feel like he has the wherewithal to fix them or the team to fix them or the policies to fix them. And that's going to hurt him. And it's going to hurt him with young voters that care much more about if they can get a job and pay for an apartment. Mm-hmm. And it's hurting him with minorities. And those are two factions that Democrats think they have a monopoly on. So, Tyrus, what is your perspective on vacation from vacation while people are having a hard time with things like inflation?
It's never a good look. And wherewithal, Johnny, that was the perfect word, because what we're seeing from our president is lack thereof. He barely speaks to the press, so when he does speak to the press, it's more heavier. It has more, and his last two press conferences have been brutal. So now we're seeing the Democrats are turning, the moderate Democrats are saying, hey, you had Mayor Adams who was like, he won't even speak to me. He's not helping at all. The sanctuary cities are a mess. And then Carville, who lives in Louisiana, where I live, is speaking on what he's seeing, the same things that I'm seeing in the city of New Orleans. And he's seeing it's not just in the cities, it's spreading everywhere. So people are going, that's why we're seeing the low numbers and the complaining, and where we're not getting from, like previous administration, if there was stuff going on, Barack Obama would give us a speech, a press conference, he'd break it down. Whether you agree or disagree, you have the information, do what you want. We're not getting those explanations. We're getting if deferred to Trump did it, or, well, we already spoke. And that's the scary part. I think his health has to be deteriorating a little bit, because we're seeing less and less of the impromptu speeches. But no more talking to the reporters from the helicopter. No more of this stuff. And he really should have had a press conference going into the new year.
But George, I think this is just the usual partisan bickering, because we were all on TV during the Obama years, and I heard he's nonstop golfing. I went back and looked at the numbers. He took 358 personal days of 8 years. Unless you're Jimmy Carter, who only took 78 days across his 4 years, you go on vacation. Biden is pacing the same as Trump, except Trump was going to his own places and personally profiting off of that.
The difference was he was talking to the press every single day.
I'll take a ramble.
There was access. He would talk to them multiple times.
Biden gives you a ramble, and you're upset about that.
No. There's a difference between a ramble. Like, ramble is I'm talking fast and saying a lot of things, than going.
Maybe Trump was giving a rumble. But he was actually going back and forth and engaging the press and answering questions. Yes, he was insulting people. Right. But Jim Acosta made a career by standing up and being a blowhard, and was so incredibly disrespectful when you contrast him with Peter Doocy, who would love to ask the president some questions right now. And a 2x2 with Zelensky isn't the same thing as a press conference when you have to answer about immigration and crime and the economy. It's a lot easier to take golfing vacations when the interest rates are low, the economy's doing good, and you haven't started or been involved in 3 wars. As a matter of fact, you didn't start any as a president. So the things that we're talking, and the border was a heck of a lot better for most of Trump's terms. So yeah, he took vacation days. Biden's outpacing Trump, actually.
Trump didn't take 400
So,
in his whole
Jessica, I
first
mean,
term.
the White House has this problem where there's a disconnect between what people are feeling in their everyday lives on the economy and what the White House continues to say. And it's not the president saying it on a regular basis. It's the White House press secretary.
Yeah.
It's their economic advisors. Do you think that he would benefit from giving some more access to reporters, not to just answer one or two questions at a press conference about something happening far away from the country, but about issues that are affecting Americans every single day in a year-long press conference that they are not going to do?
Whether it's end of year, start of year, just because it's Tuesday, I think that President Biden does well when he speaks to the public. When he talks about, he goes to manufacturing plants, he goes to chips plants, et cetera, talks about the jobs that they're bringing back there. He is the ambassador of Bidenomics. And I have been very critical of his communications team, that they are not making it work, whether that's a strategy problem or a delivery problem. And I think that there are some great people who show up, and I love that they come on Fox, like Jared Bernstein is out here all the time. John Kirby is out here all the time talking about what the administration is doing. But it's too far and few between.
He is
Somebody get this girl a raise.